An intellectual carrot, the mind boggles.
You see? You see? You're stupid minds. Stupid! Stupid!
Earth has had Santa Claus long enough. We will bring him to Mars.
I've been afraid a lot of times in my life, but I didn't know the real meaning of fear until I had kissed Becky.
One thing will be clear. It's not for man to interfere in the ways of God.
It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Earth vs. Soup, episode 151. I'm Aaron Pollier.
And I'm Darlene.
We watched a movie that Darlene actually sat through the entire thing of, and didn't, lose her mind from the sound or strobing lights.
That was 2001. Sorry.
It is a classic for a reason, and...
Yes, but it's annoying at... Anyways, this is The Ghost of Frankenstein. It was released March 13th. 1942. It is 67 minutes long, and we start with the village.
Have you seen this movie before, Darlene?
No.
We should talk about the things that should be talked about first here.
But have I seen...
Have you seen this movie before?
No, not this particular one.
I guarantee you I've seen this movie before.
But
I guarantee you I have.
But you didn't understand. You were like, what the crap with the ghost?
Yes. There is a ghost in this because it is the ghost of Frankenstein. There is a ghost in this. I have no idea really why. The plot does not revolve around the ghost.
It pushes Ludwig to do...
Ludwig von Frankenstein.
It pushes him to actually fix the monster.
Yes.
But we again start with the villagers tearing down shit. And it ends with the village tearing down shit.
Yes, it does. So let's talk about the connections between this movie and other movies. This stars Lon Chaney Jr. as the monster, just like the next movie that we've already actually reviewed in this series, the Frankenstein meets... Well, no, Lon Chaney's in Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. But here's the thing. It's Bela Lugosi as the monster in the next movie.
And
Lon Chaney as
the Wolfman.
Now, in this movie, it's Lon Chaney as Frankenstein, and Bela Lugosi is Igor. Again, reprising his role as Igor. Darlene thought that the woman who played Ilsa, which is the daughter of Ludwig Frankenstein, I actually thought she was the wife at first, and no, it's daughter. She is not the Ilsa in the next movie. She is not in the next movie. But she has appeared in other movies that...
Are you missing one of the Frankenstein movies, though?
No, I don't think so. We've watched all the ones up until Frankenstein meets the Wolfman.
Don't we have the House of Frankenstein?
Which hasn't actually aired yet. We haven't watched that yet and reviewed it.
No.
So the woman who plays Ilsa in this is actually Gwen from The Wolfman. It's the same actress. So that's the connection here. And then the screenplay was done by Eric Taylor, who you might know from our review of The Black Cat, which is Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff in a very strange Satanist plot.
Yeah, Bela Lugosi's scared of cats. He was sent off to Russia to the gulags. Comes back. The Karloff is the one that has his daughter as his wife. That's sick.
Yes. So this is, I think, the fourth in the series of Frankenstein movies, and there is a pattern that is pretty damn clear at this point, because now we've seen the fifth as well. That takes place after this. The villagers in this movie, in all of these movies, are a menace to society overall. And I think it really comes across in this movie because the villagers form I think, 3 separate torch-wielding mobs throughout this movie. It's 67 minutes long, and I think it's 3 separate mobs.
Well, the first village is not the same as the second
It doesn't
village.
matter. I'm saying the villagers overall.
Yes, there is
this
something
area
wrong.
of Europe needs to honestly have like National Guard-ish troops stationed in it. Because the villagers, when you put all these villagers together over all these movies, this landscape should be torched. There is no standing structures. They burn everything to the ground. They destroy infrastructure. They
Castles,
they take out. They obviously get
windmills,
police in trouble. Even like when the police are trying to stop them, they just ignore lawful orders all the way through it. I'm baffled by this. And you know what? I'm sure that as people were watching this back in the day, this whole series of movies I'm talking about, it didn't really occur to them.
No,
And they
didn't
didn't really occur to them that, hey, look, if you combine the Wolfman burning torch-wielding mobs and the Dracula torch-wielding mobs with the Frankenstein torch-wielding mobs, this has gotten really old really quick, but it's usually only one torch-wielding mob in every movie. This had 3. I'm bitching about that before we start the plot because it is unbelievable. And I even remarked upon it when we were watching the movie. I paused the movie and I said, Darlene, this is insanity. How like the larger scale government, the wider government overall, hasn't come in to like put down the riots that occur seemingly every year, where vital infrastructure like dams are just knocked down.
windmills, dams, castles, manor homes.
There's villages that go up in flames at times in these movies. And it's like, when you put it all together, I love the Universal horror movies overall, but it is lazy writing at this point. It's lazy and it's baffling because these movies are all supposed to be in the same continuity. That means this constant reinforcement of rioting, of actual like insurrection, of freaking rebellion by the common citizen, when there seemingly is no consequences to the common citizen, that they can just burn, murder, kill, destroy willy-nilly, and there's nothing anyone does about it. I know I've gone completely off track, but it was so obscene in this movie, I have to bring it up even before we get into the plot, because you're not going to understand when I go, oh look, it's another torch-wielding mob.
Well,
and this time they burn down X, Y, and Z. So go ahead, Darlene. You're talking about how we start off at a village.
the villagers do a discussion, and they decide to destroy the castle.
The Frankenstein's Castle.
Yep, and
this is the same castle where Frankenstein resurrected the monster in the last film,
and got burned down.
Did it get burned down? Yeah, it did. It got burned down in the last film, but it's been repaired and abandoned. Except for the fact that Frankenstein is now, the monster, is entombed in solid sulfur from the sulfur pit. For whatever reason, it is now solidified.
Igor is the one that keeps playing the music
to like calm him, because he realizes the monster can't be killed.
And throws down rocks. Now, these are not small rocks.
These are parts of the castle's parapet.
Down onto the crowd.
It's not a castle. It doesn't have a curtain wall. It's not a castle. It's a manor home. But it has a parapet.
But it's old enough that it's supposed to be like...
It's a pseudo-castle. It's not a true castle. It's a pseudo-castle. Igor's toppling parts of the parapet down on people because they all thought that he was killed in the last movie.
And they're blowing it up with dynamite.
Torch-wielding mob, armed with dynamite, coming out to this manor home, and they're not being safe about it. Villagers are just throwing sticks of dynamite around. Imagine this. I don't care. Imagine this in the 1930s. You have a group of villagers arming themselves with dynamite, and just torch wielding mob blowing up historic buildings, what would happen? Mind you, this is somewhere in Austria or Germany. What would happen?
Who's in charge at that time?
Who's in charge at that time, Darlene? In the 1930s, in Germany and Austria.
Hitler, isn't it?
Yes, of course it's Hitler. The Nazis are in charge, and people are blowing things up. This is insanity. This is insanity. Blowing up defensible positions and infrastructure. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so moving on. They blow up the gates. They run in. The explosions from all this dynamite ends up freeing the monster from this frozen sulfur, and Igor and the monster flee into the country as the castle burns behind them. And the villagers of the village of Frankenstein or whatever are celebrating that the curse has been broken. Little do they know that their like fourth rebellion in 2 decades has done nothing except actually bring the monster back. So
and they head to where Ludwig
von Frankenstein
is a MD of the mind, is what the thing said.
He is not an MD of the mind.
That's what the tablet said.
I know he's a medical doctor. He is a brain surgeon. That is clear. But he's not like a doctor of the mind. He's a doctor of the brain.
I was saying this because that's what's on the doggone plaque.
Yes.
I wasn't saying it.
He's doing brain surgery when we're first introduced to him, and we learn that he has removed the brain from a patient, fixed the brain somehow, and put it back in, and reattached it, and everything is okay. Now, how does he know how to do this? Of course, it's because he learned all these tricks from his father, the original Frankenstein, who created the monster in the first place. Now, you'd think, wait a second, is this the same son from the last movie? No, it's not.
No, it's the second son.
It's the younger son because lazy writing. And I say that because this movie is like the epitome of lazy writing in the Frankenstein series, in my opinion. At least Frankenstein versus the Wolfman is sort of original, right? There's a team up. And there's like a fight in it. I get it. There's actual like stuff that happens in that movie. This is almost an entirely a retread of the last movie.
It's a treadmill.
Yeah, it just happens over and over and over again. And I have respect for the writer with what he did in Black Cat. Like Black Cat was interesting.
This is supposed to be a different village, Veracia or something like that.
Yes.
I didn't.
Viserius. But Igor and the monster walk into the village of Viserius in broad daylight. Broad daylight monster, right? These little boys freak out, and there's this little girl who doesn't really freak out. The boys run away. The girl's like, "Can you help me get my ball?"
Well, the boys kicked it up to the roof.
And thus begins a retread of Maria from the first Frankenstein movie in so many ways. It isn't an exact retread.
I don't know if you got this as I did. It looked like it was just on the roof, okay? Visually, something you could see from the ground level. But if you follow Frankenstein as he takes the girl up there...
It's really high.
It's really high. And I don't know how you would have seen that from the ground.
It's a brightly colored ball up against, like dingy roofs. It's not a big deal. That's not a big deal.
It looked like it was far away from the ground, the side of the building.
I don't know. I think he just had to find a way to get up. So he had to like go around the building, walk up some stairs.
But he kills 2 people.
Okay, he doesn't kill 2 people. He beats the hell out of at least 2 people and seriously injures at least one of them. Okay, because we don't hear that he's killed anyone.
They say that he
later
killed 2.
on, one dies. Yeah, but like one of the boys gets in his way. It's just like he gets in his way, and the monster just clubs him out of the way. Like hard.
He's walking up the stairs that don't have any
guardrail. He just throws him off,
and he just throws that one off. Then the guy that rushes up. And he's on the roof. He just throws him off with a
That's a boy.
backhand.
That's a boy.
With a backhand, and then gives the girl raises the girl up to get her
the ball.
blue.
Like, he's not going to hurt the girl,
but the
then
father.
Later on, this gets weird. This gets weird. Is this the darkest of the Frankenstein movies, do you think? No. I mean, the first one is pretty dark because, I mean, the monster is a victim all the way through it, and everyone else is the monster, so to speak. That I guess I answered my own question. I shouldn't have asked that. The first movie is more dark because of that the monster is just a misunderstood victim. But this is messed up.
The second one's dark because of the second Doctor. And I think they're going with this one with the second Doctor in this one. But it doesn't pay off.
Oh. So
Dr.
At this
Baumer?
point, in this movie, it's Bomer. So at this point, the whole village has basically surrounded, and again, we have villagers. So it's during the day, so they're not going to have torches, right? Because you only have torches at night when you need to have your torch-lit march to burn books or people. That's a Nazi reference, Darlene. The point is that the villagers come out with rifles and decide the best thing to do is to open fire on the monster while he's carrying a little girl. These are rational human beings.
Yeah, and I thought this Hossman, which is our father,
he was actually a reasonable person.
He was reasonable at this, but then he instigates the next one.
Yeah. So this one jackass decides to open fire, and the father stops it. And Igor starts playing a flute. Look, you can come down, bring her down. They're not going to hurt you. They're not going to hurt you. You haven't done anything wrong. As like a man at the bottom of the stairs is bleeding out of his skull, and a boy is broken. I don't think he's dead at this point. They died later on.
But the Hossman says that to the thing. So he brings down the child
and hands her off, and then like the cops beat the hell out of him until he's on the ground. Okay, fine, whatever.
And chain him up in the police station.
So Igor goes to see the other Dr. Frankenstein to get help for the monster, and the doctor takes a box out of a hidden recess that actually has the diary of his father.
And it's the same box that's in Wolfman, the Frankenstein versus... because it's the same whole setup.
So isn't she the granddaughter of Frankenstein? The original Frankenstein in the next movie?
She's Elsa.
She's probably the daughter of this... No, she is supposed to be the daughter of this doctor. She's supposed to be the same character, but it's played by a different actress.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I asked you. No. Elsa was the person playing Elsa. That's why I asked you.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. So we go to the local magistrate where the monster is just chained into a chair. Dr. Frankenstein is on his way. The monster breaks out of his chains and is about to attack the doctor when Igor ends up playing his flute. And the village is so panicked that they basically allow the monster to shamble out along with Igor, who obviously does not move very quickly because he's very badly he has a bad back and all that. His neck has been broken. They get to a cart and they get away scot-free. Just absolutely scot-free. No one decides to pursue them on horseback, anything like that. These villagers are terrible. I'm really ragging on this movie. There's things I actually like in it. I apologize. It's just that we've seen this stuff so many times now in these Frankenstein movies. They end up going out to the home of this Frankenstein. The doctor knocks out Igor and the monster in a gas chamber.
Oh, you forgot that Elsa at this time is reading the diary that Ludwig left on the thing, and it goes to flashbacks of the first film.
Yeah, I didn't even care. I didn't even write that down. I just did not care. I'm like...
I did because I was like, damn.
I thought, folks, we've seen flashbacks to the original Frankenstein so many times. I don't need to see it again.
Yes, but they did it.
They did it again. I just ignored it. I guess I was writing down the monster. They knock out Igor and the monster in a gas chamber. Again, 1942 in Austria. I had I grit my teeth at this, but it turns out that Ilsa is trapped in that room with them, for whatever, for shenanigans.
Because he had her.
Yeah, he had her. And she gets knocked out too. Dr. Frankenstein ends up pumping all the gas out of the room and reviving his daughter. Okay, there's some
locking Ludwig and
not Ludwig, locking Igor and the monster.
Igor and the monster up in two different places or the same place?
Yeah, they're in the same place-ish. Okay, they're in like a dungeon. Okay, so Lord, I feel like I'm really being negative at this movie, and I don't think it really deserves the kind of negativity I seemingly am giving off.
Dr. Kittering is killed, and I don't see that scene. It's killed by the monster.
Okay. Take over, because I think I'm being a little too negative.
Dr. Kittering is the person that was helping Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein, to do the first surgery of the brain
earlier in this movie.
And Ludwig is suggested by Bomar to aid the monster into taking Dr. Kittering's brain and put it into the...
You've passed like 3 scenes. 3
full scenes. Well, then you
scenes.
better get it.
3 full scenes. Frankenstein determines that he has to kill the monster. So the fact is that the monster is unable to be killed, but Frankenstein determines that the only way to kill him is by dissecting him organ by organ, just like he was put together in the first place. Okay?
Yes, I stopped. I didn't.
His assistant, Dr. Bomer, refuses to help, so Dr. Frankenstein must do it alone because he thinks no one is safe until this is completed. And this is where he sees the ghost of his father.
Yes.
Okay? And questioning the wisdom of killing what his father created, because I created you, my son. I also created this, my creation. You should not undo one. Like, you are both my creations. Like, it was weird, and it wasn't the same guy that played the original Frankenstein.
No,
obviously.
It wasn't.
Ludwig says that not Ludwig. The original Frankenstein says that his son should replace the brain of the monster. Just replace his brain. So Igor wakes and is told that a surgery must be done and Igor must help. Igor says that the doctor should use his brain because this is my friend. I don't want anything bad to happen to my friend, i.e. Igor's already going against that by saying, hey, take his brain out and put my brain in there. You're killing your friend. Screw you, Igor. The monster is told by Igor what the plan is, and the monster seems to be okay with it. And then Igor seemingly convinces Boimer to put his brain into the monster. The police arrive looking for the monster and Igor, but they search the house. They find like secret passage after secret passage.
And even goes and look for secret passages.
Yeah, because they've seen all these Frankenstein movies. They know what's going on. They've seen Dracula. There's secret passages everywhere. And I turned to you. I said, Darlene, if I ever won the lottery, I would build a house that has secret passages everywhere. Everywhere. Because these kind of shenanigans are funny. And I love the fact that the police just automatically assume it's a big, creepy house. There's secret passages here. And the cop, like, it was the beat cop that said, Sergeant, look there. And there's like the freaking stairway underneath a piece of equipment.
Underneath a generator.
Like, and then he's also the one that figures out how to open the fake door in the basement to find where Igor and the monster had been hiding, but they've escaped. I love that. I thought that was really funny. So the monster sneaks off to see the little girl from earlier. And
takes her from the house. She's in her bed.
In her bed, he wraps her up in a blanket, takes her, and then burns down the house accidentally.
He does it accidentally because he knocks down a lamp.
It is accidental. The monster brings back the girl to the doctor and mimes that he wants the brain of the girl inside him.
Then we jump to...
That is... Hold on. That's messed up. That's messed up.
And I don't know where the girl is for this 2 weeks because the
Ilsa takes her, doesn't she?
Yes. Elsa...
that's right, because none of the villagers know where the hell she is.
For 2 weeks.
So Ilsa just kidnapped a girl?
So I don't know where the girl went when they're switching.
No, you're right. I thought that's weird. That's weird. Because they do say it's like 2 weeks before they can get the brain in there. And then they give all the time.
So I don't know where the girl went after this.
Ilsa kidnapped her.
Why wouldn't she give it back to the village is
I
what
have
I'm
no
thinking
idea.
about.
I have no
So this
idea.
is a piece of stupid writing.
That's bad writing. Because there's no reason Ilsa isn't a bad woman. She seemingly actually cares about people. She likely is the only good person in this movie. I think everybody else is kind of garbage.
Because
they're all garbage people. Anyway, yeah, the daughter takes her away. The operation is completed, and it's 2 weeks since the night the monster took the girl. Torch-wielding villagers decide to go out and talk to the doctor again.
with torches,
With torches.
guns, everything they can imagine. And Eric, which is Elsa's boyfriend,
He's... I don't
he's
know.
courting her? I don't know.
I don't know. You know what I thought he was, honestly? I thought he was an officer of, like, the local militia.
That's what I thought, too, that he was something to do.
But he doesn't have a rank in any of the stuff that I've read. But he seemingly commanded around the cops, even.
He was on horseback.
And he was on horseback, and no one else is on horseback. I mean, to me,
And he stops the whole crowd.
Yeah, he stops the whole crowd.
For a little bit.
For just a little bit, because the monster, they go in and, like, they're talking, because the monster's up and walking, and now he introduces himself as Igor. You have put my brain inside my friend, and now I'm invincible. I am strong, and you cannot kill me, etc., etc.
And then he's blind.
Yes, but he's blind because it turns out that Igor's brain and the monster's body have different blood types. Screw you, Igor. Frankenstein thinks that he's made a worse monster now.
Mm-hmm. Which
because
he
at
has.
least, yeah, because at least the monster before this had somewhat of a soul. No, I will say he had a soul. He was misled by Igor many times in these movies.
And Igor was, even Ludwig even said, I don't want to put you in it because that's...
You're a monster. You're evil. Right? So Igor loses his sight, and we learn Igor's blood type is wrong. Equipment explodes as he's kind of running around. Gas starts filling up the...
Oh, that's Dr. Balmer.
Yeah, he throws the switches to, like, fill it up with, like, the whole manor home with, like, well, it's at this point it's the quote-unquote
chateau is
chateau,
what they call it.
with gas. And of course, since there's torch-wielding villagers, they decide to toss their torches inside, and it blows up. The monster burns, his skin melts. The end. Oh, excuse me, Eric and Elsa
walk into
the sunrise. The end. All right. I've been really negative about this.
But it's because it's
lazy. It's really lazy. And I know this writer's capable of better. Right?
Yeah, it's like having one of those... Reading one of the children's story, teenage story, love stories. It's the same story over and over and over and over and over again.
It's something, I guess in defense of Universal, and I'm not saying that this is right. What I'll say is they knew a format that was making the money. Why change that? Especially this early in Hollywood when... I don't know, if you're making money, especially during the war, because this was filmed during the opening, this is in the war. When was this filmed? When was it released? March 42, you said? Been at war for a few months.
March 13th, 1942.
Yeah.
It started in December.
So, hey, Pearl Harbor happens. They're filming it. I think I read somewhere that, like, Lon Chaney went right from The Wolfman to this movie. Like, with only a couple weeks. With only a couple weeks between when these productions happened. So anyway, war's happening. And there's already tension going on even before Pearl Harbor. Universal's looking to make some money here because everything's going to be weird as the war goes on. And then Pearl Harbor happens. They're like, screw it. I'm not going to bother with rewrites. We're just going to film this quickly, get it out, make money, be done with it. Right. especially since everyone knows these Frankenstein movies take place in goddamn Germany / Austria, right? Let me talk about what I think works in this movie, because I've been exceedingly negative about it. Bela Lugosi is a treasure, always.
I don't think he did well on this one.
This is not his best work. No, I fully agree, but Bela Lugosi at his worst still brings a smile to my face.
I'm glad it brought a smile to your face, because it didn't to mine.
I think it falls into the category of works. I don't think Lon Chaney did a good job as Frankenstein.
The makeup made it very hard for him to smile.
I think the makeup was fine for him, but it didn't. It was, believe it or not, it was the same makeup for Boris Karloff. They've used it.
Except that it seemed like his face could not, where his mouth was, like they put something in his mouth. So
he was having allergic reactions to the makeup, by the way, during this movie. And this is something I read. There's a reason he looks miserable in this and looks bad and looks puffy, and it's the makeup.
Oh, is that why you can't see his eyes? And it looks
no.
closed?
The eyes are those hooded eyes that Boris Karloff had. They're the same thing. That he was so allergic to the makeup that he had actually been itching so badly under it that he couldn't take it anymore and ripped it off and then took off layers of his skin with it, like the forehead. It was so bad they had to pause production for a few days because he had just torn the skin right off his forehead.
Yeah, because there's a part where he's supposed to smile at the little girl, and it doesn't.
Just miserable.
He couldn't smile, so I was assuming the stuff was.
Yeah, you want to hear the other awful thing they did to Lon Chaney in this? Lon Chaney Jr. When he's in the sulfur pit. Yeah. Do you know what that is? They covered him in concrete.
Oh, you're kidding me.
I'm not kidding you. They covered him in literal concrete.
That can wear off your
Darlene,
skin.
They put a straw into his mouth while it set so he could breathe, and everyone went to lunch while it cured on top of him.
When you're doing...
I'm shocked about that.
Do you understand when you do concrete, you're wearing rubber gloves, rubber boots, and stuff like that? Because it eats your skin.
1942.
It eats your skin.
And you know what? That big deal, because you know what? Lon Chaney had enough makeup that he was already allergic to that it probably protected his skin. The point is that they put him in concrete. Lon Chaney suffered in this movie.
Crap.
You know what? I'm not going to hold it against this movie or Lon Chaney for any improper acting or whatever, because this man was miserable. What I will say is that I don't think Lon Chaney did the best that he could have done, even under those circumstances.
I don't know if you
had
those
phone
things.
It in most of the time. Yeah, I mean,
if he tried to smile for the child, and I could see it was struggle.
Yeah, I'm not going to put it in it does not work. His acting, I'm not going to put it into the category of it does not work. But I'm not going to give him a pity point and say, hey, look, his acting worked in this movie, because it didn't.
So this is another one of those, it did not work, and it's not because of Lon Chaney, it's because
production and writing. But like I said, the positives, though. I really liked Bela Lugosi as Igor again.
The sets were neat.
The sets are always beautiful.
And it used the same
equipment from the original Frankenstein. I even pointed out. But remember that I said, I think when we originally reviewed the first Frankenstein movie, that equipment that was made specifically for Frankenstein was used by Universal for decades, all the way up until the 1970s, because it was so intricate and interesting looking. And I don't blame them for it. It looks fantastic. This is 1942. Sure.
I do like the knobs, the resistor knobs on that panel.
Yeah.
That was for the gas.
Yeah. There's knife switches. See, I love all that stuff. So the sets work. The props, I think, work. Bela Lugosi works. What doesn't work besides, like we already said, the
villagers.
The writer. The villagers are fine for what they are, but they suffer from bad writing. We can't just take every little piece of the bad writing and separate it out. We'll say the bad writing is our overall hit, right? The bad writing consists of really dumb villagers reused plot elements that are over and over and over and over again. Some really kind of skeevy stuff that the writer probably didn't really know about, like the gas chamber stuff. Like that just sat really badly with me. And you know what? I know he didn't know about that stuff. This is he wrote this stuff in like 1941. That being said, there was people that knew this stuff was happening in 41, even as far back as 39. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he didn't know. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. The villagers are just terrible. The just scenes ending where you think there should be like when the monster and Igor escape on the cart, and you think, well, now there's going to be a chase, and that could actually be a cool scene, like an action sequence. You have this cart rushing through the woods, and maybe this the boyfriend or the love interest of Ilsa on horseback chasing them down and following them out to Chateau Frankenstein.
Stop making the movie more than it is.
Okay.
It is a repeat.
It's just the writing. The writing.
With nothing in it.
The writing is bad. And is there anything else that truly does fall into the category of does not work? Because the writing is a fairly catch-all. Like, the dialogue isn't that great. The plot isn't that great. It's very...
The settings were nice.
Yes, but I'm saying, is there anything else that falls into that category of does not work?
The secondary characters, I don't think were...
They're not memorable at all.
Not rememberable at all. And some of them, I was like, who's this Martha character? I can't even remember her. You know, I have list of people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Martha. Who's Martha?
Okay. Who's Martha? I mean, Martha is... I have no idea, Darlene.
I don't even remember her being in the movie.
Okay.
Eric Ernest is the love interest.
Is Martha the little girl?
No. This is the little girl.
Clostis. Okay, I have no idea who that is. No idea. Okay, anyway.
I understand that there's
Janet. Yeah. Oh, okay. Clostine Hussman. Clostine Hussman is the character's name.
Is the girl's name, and Hussman is the father.
Yeah. Okay. Clostine.
But I don't
Hussman.
even remember Martha. And
I'm gonna actually look and see if this actress appeared in other things. Well, yeah. Okay. Ghost of Frankenstein. Wow. That not a lot. 6 credits between 1942 and 1946. She died in 2020. Oh, that's sad. She died very recently.
But at age 83.
Yeah, okay, at least that's a good life. Well, I can't say recently, like let's say from when we're recording this, like 8 months ago. She died. Well, that's sad.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years.
More than 2 years ago. See, time is strange in COVID times. You start losing track of time. So yeah,
it looks like she was just a child actor.
20 months ago. Yeah, she was just a child actress.
Because the last one she did was this movie.
No, the last one she did was 1946. The Canyon Passage is uncredited. All of her roles were uncredited except for this one.
Oh. And then she was as herself in Lugosi, The Forgotten King, which is a documentary.
So anyway, I think the one thing that a modern filmmaker can take away from this is don't dip from the same well so many times.
Back then I can see that they're doing it because how many of the serial stuff was the exact same thing?
Flash Gordon.
Same movie.
Same thing over and over and over and over again. And it's, God, you know, I while I love Flash Gordon, I also hate watching it. I hate watching it. Because it is 75% repeated things from the previous, and then they ignore it. So you've wasted your time, and you have some other action set piece that happens in this 10-minute clip, but it doesn't really matter because they're going to ignore whatever cliffhanger they left on, so no one's hurt. Yes, it's
Like they do in this one. They ignore
oh,
what.
look, yeah, Igor was shot dead in the last one, and the monster fell into molten sulfur.
Yep, not sulfur that turns into
Like
cement.
he would have vaporized, right? Like, they just ignore it, and I hate that kind of storytelling. I hate that kind of storytelling because they're like, oh, look, we have an arc because now there's multiple movies or multiple episodes that have all this character development. Look how the characters are changing. No, you're ignoring how the characters are changing to fit in
The same movie.
the same movie, or you're ignoring how the characters are changing because you're a bad writer.
And this is a bad writing.
Well, and I will also say that maybe we have to also understand that maybe Universal put some guidelines on this author because, like I said, Black Cat is way more interesting than this. I think the writer is capable of more. Maybe this was forced on a lot of this stuff was forced by Universal
Could
or constraints for budget or the war happening, the war breaking out. I do know that this is the last large budget Frankenstein movie. This is the last time that Universal gave a large budget. Because, I mean, we've already watched Frankenstein versus the Wolfman. It does not have a budget like this.
No, but they just do destroy a dam.
I will also say that Frankenstein versus the Wolfman is a much better movie than this. And you know what? I think it's because Lugosi actually is underneath the Frankenstein makeup in that movie, is able to act. And again, Lugosi is a gem no matter what he's in. Even when he's given crap, he has charisma. And he is the thing that works in this. Do we recommend it?
No.
No. But it's a not recommendation
Unless you're going to be watching all the Frankenstein movies.
Yeah. Because in the end you can even watch the next movie and not lose anything by ignoring this one. This is the worst of the Frankenstein movies that we've watched. That being said, I don't know if it's the worst Frankenstein movie. I'd say that the most recent Frankenstein movie, like that was released, God, I don't know, a couple years ago, is far worse. But out of all of the old Universal movies, this is the worst one we've watched so far for Earth vs. Soup. So let's leave it there. I know I've been really overly negative, but I still watched the whole thing and I was engaged. Right?
I was okay with it.
It wasn't like we were tearing our hair out.
I was going, this is the same thing, except that we have more village moms.
See, if I gave it out of a 10, I'd honestly give it like
a 4.
Like a 4 or a 3.5. It's not like I wanted to punch my television screen, or it's not like I just wanted to shut it off and give up, which there has been movies like that where I'm just, oh man, I can't do it anymore. But this was not it. We don't recommend it, but we can move on from there. So I don't know what we'll watch next, but hopefully it'll be better. I'm Aaron.
I'm Darlene. Good evening.
And keep watching the skies.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.